Welcome to this week's video. I'm Aaron Ross, and I'm normally all about color in my photos. I love the vibrancy, I love what it does to tell a story, either warmth or cool. You can add a lot of dynamics into your photos using color, but what I wanted to do was kind of strip that away and take all of the color out of everything and go black and white. And by doing so, it really makes me think about the lighting in a just completely different way. You're not able to see kind of the contrast of colors in your photos, and so when you're out on the streets or just going about your daily life documenting things, you have to be looking for different stuff. It's the actual light that's coming into your photos and not necessarily the colors, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some photos that I have been taking over the last couple of months. I am normally a digital photographer. I use a Fuji X-T3 with a whole range of lenses, and that's usually what I share on this channel. And what I share on social media, on my Instagram or Twitter, that's usually what I'm sharing, is the digital photos that I'm making. But for this scenario, I wanted to just completely strip all of that away, and I went film. So for the camera that I was using for all of these photos, it is the Nikon FM, and the lens that I was using was a 50mm f2. So all of this is completely manual. All of the automation that comes out of the digital camera just isn't there. And so this is, to me, a limit that I really like. It just makes me think about very specific aspects of my photography in ways that I don't think about them with my digital photography. And then for the film, I used Ilphord HP5 Plus 400, so has a ISO 400. It's a black and white film. I used this is what I'm going to be showing is from 3 different rolls. Again, I don't shoot a lot of film, so it's something that I carry the camera around with me every once in a while and just take a photo here and there to try and capture some of the moments that are happening around me. So again, it's 3 rolls of film that were taken over a couple of months. I had all of them processed at darkroom and got their enhanced scans, and then I've done a very minor edit in Lightroom on the iPad. So this is kind of what it is and what those photos are. Again, I will show you some of these and talk about a couple of my favorites, but definitely as we're going through these, make note of the ones that you like and let me know down in the comments if there are photos that jump out at you as really being able to capture the light in those photos without color that maybe are stronger because there isn't color in those photos. And let me know if this is something that you do as well. Do you like black and white or color photography? Do you like film photography? Let me know just a little bit about your style of photography down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it and kind of what you're shooting with in the community that we're building here on YouTube. All of these photos, I would say that there's a couple different sets of photos that really stick out to me. I was trying to pay attention to some of the cars in my neighborhood that were parked out on the street, particularly the cars that are a little older. Not all of them are super old, but some of them that just have a little bit more of a vintage feel, and putting those together really gives you a sense of nostalgia, in my opinion, and looking back at some technology that was cream of the crop at the time but is now placed around my neighborhood and tells a story and has some history. There's also some photos of the basketball courts out on the lakefront here in Chicago that I'm not sure why, if this is something they do in the winter normally, but they don't have the actual hoops on them. This is the first time I've ever noticed it, so again, not sure if this is a normal occurrence, but I took photos of the basketball courts a couple of times while I was out there trying to get different compositions and just telling what I thought was an interesting story of having this place that is designed for one specific thing, and yet you can't do that one specific thing because the hoops are missing. But when you put all of those photos together, I think it tells interesting story about what is going on the lakefront. My wife and I also fostered a dog over the winter for a couple of weeks, and having him with us was a real joy for us, and I was able to make a few photos of him, us out on walks with him, and particularly my wife walking him around. And so having those is going to be something special for us, even if they aren't always the most artistic photos or portfolio moments, but again, they're things that are memories and valuable to me. Another subset of these photos was some of the landscape photos, some of the nature photography that I was able to do, where normally I was relying on either snow to contrast some of the green in trees, or you rely on the fall colors or the vibrancy of the green in the spring and summer. And when you're using a black and white film, all of that stripped away, and again, you have to rely on the light of the scenario. And so these photos to me are pretty special just because it shows some of my composition skills, and I'm proud of what I was able to accomplish even without color in this scenario. So I wanted to take a minute and just remind you that all month long I'm participating in the Let Us Fight Hunger Challenge with Feeding America. For any donation to my campaign of $10 or more, you can enter a photo to be reviewed and celebrated during a live stream in May. And so I want to just encourage everybody to get involved. A $10 donation is going to allow Feeding America food banks to provide at least 100 meals, which is just incredible impact. So make sure and jump in and do that. In the message, when you are making the donation, make sure and include your Instagram handle so that I can jump on there and show off some of your photos, because I know you're doing amazing work, and I want to just use this time to celebrate each other and show each other some love that I think a lot of people deserve that they aren't getting it. So let's do that. Let's come together and do some good with our photography. So now that I just did this whole series with black and white film, I decided I'm going to turn back to color film. And I have some exciting travel coming up that I'm going to be sharing here finally. Me and my wife are both vaccinated, or I'm about to be vaccinated completely, but by the time we go on the trip, we'll be all good to go. And I'm excited to bring you along, bring my film camera along, and I'm gonna go back to color, but I'm using two different films. I'm gonna be using Kodak Gold as well as a Fujifilm, I think it's called just Fuji Color 200. So I am going to be taking photos on both of these. There's going to be some nature, there's going to be some travel. It's going to be across the US in multiple states. So make sure and subscribe so you know when that video comes out, because I will absolutely be sharing some behind the scenes as well as the final results of those photos. And not just the film, but also some of the digital photos that I will be making while out on the road. But I think that is going to do it for this week's video. In the meantime, I'm going to go make some photos. I hope you do too, and we'll see you in the next one.